Hello everyone, it's me, Thibault Besson-Magdelain. In this video, I'm going to explain how I managed to generate over 50,000 visitors to my website and how today in this video, using artificial intelligence, I'm going to collect data from American websites that generate tens of millions of visitors per month, all legally with artificial intelligence. And how I'm going to be able to index all these pages in SEO on Google in a 100% automated way. All right, I'll tell you everything. This strategy, it didn't come from me. It simply comes from the Samwer Brothers. Who are the Samwer Brothers? They're these three little guys right here. They're billionaires. Is that clear for you? They're billionaires and with just one concept. The concept is very simple. They took what they found on the American market and imported it to Europe and partly to France. And they did this with lots of websites. There were dozens of them. Thank you. And for decades, but today they're still worth billions of euros. They did this with one big entity, and underneath they had lots of little sub-entities. The big entity, their holding company, was Rocket Internet. You can look it up on Google, it's just fascinating. In terms of storytelling, and so to give you concrete examples, they did this, for instance, with the site Groupon. They simply duplicated the Groupon site. Here, it was a bit hardcore, they really just copied and pasted it, and called it City Deal. City Deal was sold to Groupon for 126 million euros. And as you can imagine, if they're billionaires and they made only, in quotes, 126 million on that transaction, they did the same with other sites. With other sites you might know as well. They took Airbnb, copied it and created Wimdu. They took Uber, copied it and made Easy Taxi. They took Pinterest, you get the idea. Inspire, Bridgebox, Glossybox. They did this with dozens of websites. And at the time, their real competitive advantage was that there were untapped markets. And today, there are still untapped markets, but since there's more and more competition, we need a weapon, we need a way to gain leverage. And this word is going to be the most important one throughout this entire video and all future videos on my YouTube channel. Leverage is what will make the difference between you and those who have millions of euros to invest. Because those people, in fact, made their first big move and then they had money. Money to hire people, money to hire developers who would write code, who would create content, who would pay for platforms, media, press, newspapers, and to have advertising. So after their first big move, they had money and a certain team. So they had even more connections, etc. So they had cracked the code and now they could just standardize things. They could just mass produce. Basically, they were going to scale up in a process-driven way. So, to follow up on that concretely, how can you today take a concept idea and reproduce it in France without money, without a network, and without skills? So, let me reassure you, today there is a new technology that arrived a few years ago, and for me, it's literally the biggest opportunity of our generation for those of us in the 20 to 30 age group. Basically, today, the best opportunity is artificial intelligence, which is right here. So for me, I replicated their process by looking at what was being done in the American market, using artificial intelligence specifically to get resources and to have a real work leverage to simply generate income. Here, I'm only showing you the number of visitors. I've already shown this dozens of times on my channel, YouTube, the graphs, and so on. I talk very little about income here because I don't really see the point in discussing earnings. Knowing that you already have a pretty good idea of the conversion rates that can be generated in the tech market. And besides, I think it brings a lot of jealousy. And honestly, it's not about the evil eye, but sharing my numbers won't benefit you or me in any way. So here, we're really just talking theory. I've actually created a little process for you, super simple. Not something that's 20 pages long, just to help you find your concept, use AI, and then generate profits. This process will have 3 steps. The first step will be how to actually find this kind of business. Because the business I have actually, it already exists. I'll show it to you in a moment. It's my marketplace, etc. These are all American marketplaces that get millions of visitors, and together, that's tens of millions of visitors. During the ChatGPT boom, this was generating hundreds of thousands of euros per month, whether through advertising, affiliate marketing, or specifically recommending AI on their platform. To actually find your own niche, you'll need to follow several steps. The first step is to go to the extremes. Your platform needs to be it needs to be in an extremely unattractive niche or an extremely attractive one. But in the middle, you're going to have a hard time generating profit. What do I mean by an extremely unattractive platform? An extremely unattractive platform would be something like a marketplace for concrete suppliers, boat propeller suppliers, products for garden maintenance, boring things, tools for plumbers, things that are really uncommon, but where there's actually such a large volume in that market that it becomes very interesting. Why really focus on unattractive, B2B things that are just not interesting? For example, anything related to suppliers of pest control products, insect control, anything to do with rat extermination. These are actually huge markets. We don't realize it. Every day we're on the internet, on YouTube, Instagram, and so on. We consume content, and everyone tells me, do drop shipping and so on. But actually, there are businesses in France valued at billions and no one talks about them. Yet we use them every day. Okay, so why get into ugly businesses? First of all, there will be a huge amount of volume, and above all, there will be fewer strong competitors in SEO. Be careful, and this is where you'll have an edge, an advantage. Where you'll really be able to capitalize on this is that, okay, you might not have the seniority or the authority of their site, but you will be excellent at SEO, and that Google will notice right away. Or you do like me and go into something super sexy. What do I mean by sexy? I mean something trendy that people are crazy about. That's the new opportunity. So you have to be careful with this because it's riskier to go into something sexy than into something unattractive. If it's something unattractive, it's been around for years, and for years, millions of euros have been spent monthly in that industry. That's solid. Let's say if you do something in a really boring, unattractive industry, the only problem you might have is that it could take longer to climb up the rankings and generate business. The problem with trends, especially those that are just trendy, is that sometimes the trend can simply fade away. But if you manage to properly assess whether it's just a trend or if it's truly going to be an opportunity over the next 10 years, then it can be really interesting to capitalize on it. Personally, I went straight into AI because I thought, okay, AI is a new technology, but in reality, it has existed for decades and decades. I'm capitalizing on that. And yet I started a year later and I still have, let's say, satisfactory results, even though thanks to this video and what I'm going to show you in the next part, let's call it the second part, which is actually in the same video, I'm going to potentially multiply my number of pages by 5, and that's going to make everything explode in the coming months. I know it. So there you have it. What's going to be great is that we're going to see strong growth actually. There will be more and more people searching for this, and as a result, there are new keywords. New keywords mean less competition, keywords that are untapped, and since we have AI, we can cover all of them. Okay, that was the first point. The second point is going to be the business model. When you do your analysis and research, you really need to define who exactly are the people you want to copy. When I say copy, there's no negative connotation, it's simply a fact. The business model. It's very important to know what the business model is of the businesses you're drawing inspiration from. If you make a list of the businesses you're going to draw inspiration from, you need to make sure they have the same business model, or at least that you can choose just one. There are plenty of them. Either you'll do affiliate marketing and earn commissions on every sale you make through your links, or you'll sell your own products. Or you'll sell alongside ads on your marketplace, info products, a course, or an ebook. Or you might sell the leads that it generates. For example, if you have a solar panel platform or a platform where you list the best solar panel suppliers. And those suppliers don't want to do affiliate marketing. With you, you're going to create a newsletter that will collect, and you'll keep collecting all the emails. And what can you do with those emails? You can resell them to the companies you've listed on the platform. And finally, there's consulting. So here, basically, you're going to build a reputation for yourself. Personally, I prefer to call my personal branding simply my online reputation. My online reputation, in terms of being an SEO expert or AI expert, even though I don't really consider myself an expert, just someone who learns every day, 9 hours a day behind a computer, will build you a certain reputation on the internet. And as a result, you'll be able to sell your time and your advice through consulting. Personally, I've capitalized on affiliate marketing and a bit of consulting. I've set it up, but it's really an 80-20 split. It's really affiliate marketing that brings in the most for me, and consulting is really just 20%. That's it for that part on my platform, and I'll show you my sales page and so on afterwards. I'll show you all the systems. And then, number 3, free service, you're the product. Even if you generate millions of visitors per month on your site, that's not what we're interested in. That might be great for our ego, but it's not going to be good for our fridge. That's what I always say. It's a cheesy rhyme, but it's the truth. What you need to understand is that no matter your level in SEO, if you don't collect qualified emails from your visitors, it's pointless. I know people who have worked with marketing agencies specializing in SEO who were really, really good at ranking for lots of keywords. But on the other hand, there were no conversions. And when I say a conversion, it's not necessarily a monetary transaction. It's simply the fact that someone gives you their email, their name, their profession, etc. And then it's with these emails that we'll be able to build our relationships. Because today, the money is in the relationship. So it's very important that we are aware of this from the start. We need to tell ourselves, okay, I'm going to create a marketplace. Okay, I'm going to draw inspiration from concepts that already work in the United States, but my goal is to have a newsletter. A newsletter where I send out truly high quality emails and not just ChatGPT emails, you know what I mean? So keep that in mind, very, very important. And once you've actually defined those 3 points, well, basically, you can get started. If you've seen that there's business to be done, the business model is solid, if in fact you're at one of the two extremes and you have a service that's free, like a marketplace where people can really find answers to their questions or simply access a ton of services, info products, templates, etc., that's going to be great. I can give you several examples. I can give you 3 just like that. A marketplace that offers templates for creating websites, Webflow templates for those who are familiar with it. There could be a marketplace for gardening products where you list all the different types of potting soil, rafts, etc. Really for gardening experts. And finally, you could also very well create a marketplace that connects people with experts. You could create a marketplace, for example, for consulting. Expert consulting in... And here, you could start with, for example, all the best accountants in France, lawyers, tax specialists, and so on. You can really create a kind of ecosystem like that. You just need to have a clear idea of where you're starting and where you want to go, so that, in fact, you can make the right choices when it comes to picking a domain name and so on. Okay, we're good on this point, how to analyze and so on. It's very simple, but in the end, that's what will really tip the scales. The other points, your preferences, your experience, and so on. Okay, actually, it'll be easier for you to train yourself rather than to change the market, because changing the market is impossible. Let's move on to the next part. Now, actually, how much is this whole thing going to cost us? Maybe you're thinking, okay, Thibault, that's great. AI is cool. There are lots of people doing really interesting things, but honestly, I don't have 1,000 euros a month to spend, and I get it. And that's not a problem. And I didn't have 1,000 euros a month to spend at the beginning either. You can check out my first videos on my YouTube channel. When I was between Bali and Bangkok, I literally had 0 euros in my account, and I documented all of that. So now, how do you actually go about automating and scaling? So what is it actually going to be? The system, concretely to use AI and to create our marketplace. First, Bardeen. And in a few minutes, I'm actually going to do it. Right before your eyes, I'm going to create the automation on Bardeen. I'll show you the automation on Make. How to connect a ChatGPT API to Make and so on. How I created the Webflow site. You'll see my Webflow template. You'll find out the prices for Cloud Convert. You'll learn what you need to do to have a good Stripe account and a good PayPal account. And which one you sometimes need to avoid a little. How you can get access to Midjourney, and especially how you can connect Midjourney to Make, since Midjourney doesn't have an official API. But I found a solution for you which literally costs next to nothing. Thanks to all this system for only $173.12 per month, plus let's say 500 queries if you want to create 500 product listings, will cost you approximately 228 euros. I don't know if you realize. It's going to cost you for the first month, if you really put in the work for 30 days, it'll cost you 228 euros and 12 cents. And actually, it's not euros, it's dollars. It's really nothing at all compared to the money it can generate, and even the resale of your marketplace. Once it's created, you'll be able to resell it for 10 times more, easily and at a much higher price. Last point, the business model. So you might be thinking, Thibault, you're repeating yourself. No, the business model was for the selection, for the analysis to properly compare what's comparable between different niche. Now, you are not obliged to keep the same business model as the people you found or the same idea you came up with. I still really recommend that you duplicate the concept and the business model, but you can add another point if you want, if you're really an expert, etc. What I really encourage you to do is apply the 80-20 rule. Keep the one that brings in the most money for you, and especially the one that brings in the most money for your competitor, and capitalize on that. It's really simple, but you need to have just one system, one sales funnel, one acquisition channel like SEO, one offer, and one type of client. Thanks to this, you'll know what your keyword type is, what you're going to sell them, and how you're going to talk to them. Okay, so I really only did lead generation. Well, all of this is good, all these resources I'm telling you about, etc. You click on the second link in the description, the second one, you subscribe to my Substack newsletter, and in the welcome email, you'll receive this. I don't sell courses, I don't sell ebooks, I don't sell digital products. Actually, so I'll just send you one email per week, that's what I send you. The very best of everything I've done during the week, everything I've built, and I send it directly to your inbox so you can generate as much traffic as possible. And everything I just explained to you here, it's all in SEO Smart Tool, the toolbox for SEO AI. Basically, these are all the resources I used to go from 0 to 10,000 visitors in 90 days with a link. Everything is offered for free. I'm not selling any information. And the first link in the description is to book a 30-minute call with me, so we can do a diagnosis of your site and your acquisition strategy. So if you have a website, if you're an entrepreneur, or even if you don't have a site yet, but you have a business and want to grow, book a 30-minute call with me. It's 100% free, and we can talk specifically about your entire strategy and how I can apply the concepts I share in my videos to your business directly with my team. Now, let's move on to the next part. What I just showed you was actually just the theory. And now we're going to move on to the practical part. Here we go, let's go. Here is the marketplace I created a few months ago. As you know, I talk about it a lot on this YouTube channel. It's La Crème AI. I'm going to give you a quick overview, and then we're actually going to add thousands of pages to this site and get them indexed. The first thing you need to know is that this was built on Webflow. This whole system, all these animations and everything, I'm giving it all to you. The template for this site, I created it myself from scratch. I took it, duplicated it, and cleared out everything that was inside. And I'm giving it to you for free. The template is called La Crème X. It's that simple, just look. Okay, here it is, La Crème X. You have your marketplace here with filters, with the newsletter page, with everything. All the pages, all the animations, everything is free. So you can clone it right here. By creating your website, there are already 15 people who have cloned it. So here, we're on the homepage. Next, the newsletter. This is where we'll collect, in fact, all the emails, first names, email addresses, etc. There's a little counter, a small FAQ, that's it. This is really where we're going to focus on collecting people's data. Here, we'll see a ranking that's grouped by different categories. So I really encourage you to check out the best of the best. I'm not encouraging you to jump into this market because obviously I work on it every day. So the competition here is going to be pretty fierce with me. But I really encourage you to do proper research on the American market and take a close look at which are the best niches to launch. Now that I've given you a bit of an overview, how did I actually make money? Well, in fact, all the links listed on the marketplace, the majority of them are affiliate links. So now the last point I need to show you is, where does the traffic come from? On the site, we have product pages. And here we also have blog articles. You should know that on this site, the blog articles, they actually rank really well. And so thanks to them, well, these are old, low quality images. These are really blog articles I wrote, as you can see, back in June, so it's been a while. I should really update all of them, but that's not where I'm going to get the highest return on investment. The highest return on investment, which is what I'm going to show you today, actually comes from listing new product pages. And with these blog articles, actually, they also bring in traffic. For example, I picked a topic about materials. It was a keyword. So I wrote a blog article about artificial intelligence. And here I have the entire blog article. All of this is generated by AI using my processes exactly. And thanks to that, we get great keywords. And in fact, we rank really well. When I say really well, I simply mean that more than half of my visitors come from my blog articles. If I look from the beginning of the year, basically, since the start of the year, as you can see, we're at 55,000. And let's say 50,000 to make the math easier. If I check all the blog articles, how many visitors they've brought in, we're at 35,000. So basically 70% of all visitors come from blog articles. And it's really growing. And if we select exclude, for example here, we can see only the product pages. And for the product pages, you can see that it's stagnating a bit. Why is it stagnating? I haven't added new ones. Sometimes I just optimize the blog articles. When I have a bit of time, I can show you. This summer in August, I optimized them. Here, of course, I added all the product listings. And so today we're going to add new product listings to this site. That's it for that. So we're not going to focus too much on blog articles. I've already made plenty of videos about that, how to generate blog articles, my routines for my blog posts, etc. It's all on my YouTube channel, you can go check them out afterwards. But now, we're going to have to do a good job, because I only have 590 tools published. I'd really like to have at least 2,000, so it's true that my positioning is focused on the best of artificial intelligence. So people really want the best of the best on my platform. That's true, but I still think that the best could be a little more than just 500 tools, especially knowing that there are so many new ones. So how am I going to list thousands of them? Actually, I'm going to go to the biggest American platforms, and that's where I'll get the information I want. I have an automation on Make, which allows me to list new AIs with just 2 pieces of information. I need the AI's link and the AI's name. It's very important that I have these 2 pieces of information. With just these 2 pieces of information, I can create a product page, a software page filled out and completed up to 80%. So once I have all this information listed up to 80%, I'll be able to publish them. and then I can manually fill in the remaining 20%. It's very important that I point this out to you because there is some information I haven't managed to automate properly. If I wanted to, I could make the automation 100%, but each time I would have to check, and I prefer to leave some fields empty rather than add information that isn't actually true. What you really don't want is for your marketplace to have a bad reputation right from the start, and for professionals in your field not to recommend you to their friends. Because for me, what really helped a lot, sure, it was SEO, but it was the quality of that SEO that actually led to word of mouth. That's it for that part. Now, let's move straight to something practical where we'll add new tools to this marketplace. For that, I've just logged into my Webflow account. Here, we're going to look at the IA Tools CMS. This is where we'll want to add new tools. As you can see, I already have plenty in draft that I added, but never published. So what we're going to do is add hundreds more. Right now, we have 608 items. As you can see, we have 125 blog articles. We have 71 categories, and we also have professions that we can assign to certain AI tools. To do that, what we do is go to the biggest competitor. This is the biggest competitor. Let me show you some of the stats. 4 million monthly visitors. We can go on SEMrush if we want quickly. So we're going to copy the domain. Let's see what it looks like on SEMrush. And right away, that's pretty sobering. They have the exact opposite positioning from mine. That is to say, instead of saying, okay, we're only going to have the best tools, they list everything. They list everything. Well, they have some pretty interesting keywords. It's not really worth it to try to rank for those. They have competitors, but honestly, they're way ahead when it comes to keywords. There are others who have more traffic, but actually, that's not really a marketplace, actually. That's not it at all. A marketplace. So, we're going to use this site. You also need to be careful when choosing a site. It's actually about the possibility of scraping. Here, we're on the site, and what we're going to look at is precisely how it's organized. So here, actually, it's categorized by year of publication. So here, there are the recent months from this year, and then the whole year as well. And so what we'll do is select the year each time, year, and we'll actually scrape in several stages. What we'll need to scrape, as I mentioned earlier, is the name of the AI, which is right here. And we also need to scrape the link. What's really great for us here is that the link is right there. And if the link to access the site isn't there, we would simply have to do something else. One more step would be to open this page in a new tab and then retrieve the link from there. Here, they've given us a huge gift, at least it's for their own ease of navigation, which is that we have the little link right here. I just hope it's always displayed, not only on hover. So let's get started right away. Let's create the automation with Bardeen, and I haven't created it yet. We're going to recreate it from scratch. It's been months since I added any new tools, so here we go. Let's open Bardeen, the Bardeen extension, and now we can start working. We're going to go into create automation, but before that, I just want to point out that I currently have a free account since I really don't use it very often. So we're going to look at the limits because we have free credits, actually every month, so we can get started for free. We're going to click on create automation, then click on build manually. We're going to go down here. We're going to select scrape on activate table and create a new scraper template. Now we click on it. There is an error for that. And here it's very important. You need to specify list or table. We can enter a new name. Let's call it AI scrapping, scrap and save. Now we need to locate the list. So we have to select the same element twice in two different items. Here we have the first item and here we have the second one. And there you go. Look, everything has been selected perfectly. So here there is indeed pagination. Pagination is used to move from one page to another. Now we're going to scroll all the way down and make sure to click on next. Here it's a click pagination, so you'll need to select the little arrow on the right. Click pagination and that will be the next. There you go. And now you'll need to actually click for the pagination, trigger action. That's it. And now it should work. So we've correctly selected the click pagination, everything's good. And now we can go ahead and select what we want to extract. Here, we're going to scroll all the way to the top of the list and then get the name of the AI. So what are we going to do now? Get text, save, data. And then, so here we can label it, AI name. And next we're going to click on that little link there. Click and then do get link, get data. And here we'll label it AI link, save template, number of items. That's it. And here we leave it blank. We leave it completely blank. We set it to infinite. Done. Done. We re-enter the name of the automation. AI YTD scrap. For example, save. Okay. And now we just have to click on it. And now it's running in the background. So it worked. We can see it. We can click on soft scraping. So now it's loading. You see how fast it goes? It's amazing. And it's completely legal because actually this information doesn't belong to them and it's only data collection. That way, we too will be able to list them. The content we're going to generate will be unique. We're not taking their logo, we're not taking their text. We're only taking the names of the AIs. And we take references. It's like if tomorrow you stumbled upon a catalog, Mr. DIY, and that you will therefore take the references from their suppliers and then add them to your own catalog. And so we're going to do this for all the pages until it's finished. So we're already on page 5, and there you have it. And now we have 600 new products. Record 600 so we can download. So now we already have all the AIs from 2024. And then after that, we'll do the same thing for everything else, 2023. We click on Bardeen again, and we're going to scrape all of that. It's done for the 2023 page as well. We download all of that, and we're going to do this for all the pages. Well, I think you've got the routine down. And then we'll be able to take all these links and all these titles and add them to an Excel document to tidy things up. There you go. So we've collected a few thousand AIs. When it says 50 KB, that means there are 600 of them. So here there are 6, 1.2, 1.8. So we must be at around 2,000 AIs collected. So here it's written 19,000. A bit strange that they wrote 19,000 AIs. Anyway, whatever. The goal is to have listed as many of them as possible. So that's great. Now we can sort all of this, and for that specific purpose, I invite you to use Google's completely free and highly accessible web-based software application called Google Sheets, which is an exceptionally powerful and versatile tool for efficiently organizing and sorting your complex data. So I've already created a little page for myself. It's called Auto SEO. I just actually renamed the first column, and so we'll be able to sort everything. And I'm going to show you how to clean up the links to be 100% legal. Now let's move on. With my files, we'll be able to open all these documents to import them all into the same Google Sheets table. So here, we're going to do Ctrl-A, Ctrl-C, and we're going to paste it here. It's very important to close this tab once you've pasted, otherwise you'll actually lose everything that's in the clipboard. Ignore and close. And now we do the same thing again. Ctrl-C. And then we're going to paste it below. So now we have all 600 rows, we paste, and we're going to do this for each one. So that was the last one, which had far fewer. That's still quite a lot of AI for us. We glue it. We're closing. And so we continue. We copy. We glue it. They come for that painting. After that, it's pretty much the same thing. And the last one, that's the one with 600 lines precisely. And there you go. We finished importing the 9 Excel tables into the same Google Sheet. Now the goal is going to be to sort everything. So first of all, the first thing we'll need to do is put the 2 columns back in order. So the links need to come before the titles. So what we're going to do is just select the entire column A without the headline. We'll paste it into the description. So now that's going to do it. 1,700, almost more than 2,000 rows to copy and paste. It bugged out a bit. That's normal. Once we've done that, it's perfect. And we're not going to paste the links back in here just yet because we'll need to do a bit of cleaning up first. Actually, right now in the links, there are UTM tags, there are RAF tags. And that's what's going to allow us to track exactly where the traffic is coming from in Google Analytics, except that we actually don't want to include UTM links that don't belong to us, because those are the links specifically that have the competitor's name in them. And so if we put that on our site, it really wouldn't be positive at all, because actually it would skew all the data. And what we want is simply to retrieve the AI's link, actually. If we have the AI's link, we know for sure, okay, that's the link that belongs to the AI. We're allowed to do that, to share it again. But as for the legal side, I have absolutely no idea whether we're allowed to share it again or not. And in any case, for us, it would skew all our analytics data, so we're removing it completely. To remove it, it's going to be very simple. We're just going to create actually a formula in Excel that will find the question mark and then delete the question mark, plus everything that comes after it. So for that, we'll just ask ChatGPT to make us a formula and we'll paste it up to here. Okay, so now we're back on track. So now we have the correct formula. So if error left parenthesis, parenthesis B3, if we actually find a question mark, we delete everything else. So that's the formula. The formula itself isn't in the description. It's actually in the resources I showed you earlier, which are 100% free when you sign up for the newsletter. This way, it lets you centralize everything so you have it all in one place. Let's go back to Excel, and now we're just going to apply the formula all the way down to the 2,000 links we've listed. And as we can see here, we have the links clean, whereas here, the links. There was always, as a result, the UTM tag from the source where we found all these links. So here we just need to drag this formula down. And once that's done, we'll be able to save only the links and not the formula. And to go faster, you just have to double click on the little bubble there and it will apply to the whole column. And there you go. So now that's good for all the links. Now, what you need to do is select the entire column because right now we only have the formula actually. The result that's there isn't the actual value written directly in the cell as characters. Right now, we just have the result. And so in our automation, if we send this to our automation and to ChatGPT, it's going to be a problem because ChatGPT will actually receive the formula. It won't receive the result of the formula. So to do that, we select the entire column A. We remove the first column. Okay, here we're copying. So Ctrl C. Once cell A2 has been selected, right click and perform a paste special. And here we're going to put the values only. And thanks to that, we were able to reconnect everything. And now we only have the clean links without the formulas and without the UTM tags. Okay, that's great. So now we can just take this whole column and paste it next to the relevant links. And column C, we can clean it up by deleting everything we had marked earlier. And there you go, it's perfect. We simply have all the links here. And on the right, we have all the AI names. That's exactly what we needed. Now, we can still do a quick visual check